if we're ever going to release our issues, we kind of need to know what they are. Maybe not in excruciating detail, but we kind of need to spot where we're holding ourselves back or where we're hurting ourselves. And it can be tricky sometimes to identify these issues because they can be buried deep under layers of pain or time or denial. So I'm going to share with you 4 different ways that you can look at your issues so you can unearth them and finally start to dismantle them and move past them. I'm Nicola, and my passion is helping parents and not yet parents release their stuff so they don't pass it on to their kids and repeat the cycle. And I've been finding ways to break my patterns of pain for over 25 years. Before I jump into the approaches, I just want to clarify, when I talk about issues, what I'm talking about is the stuff that's stuck in us, in our mind, in our body, in our emotions, things like repressed emotions, hidden patterns, behaviours that basically hurt us in some way. And these things block our success and happiness. We might be doing supposedly all the right things, but for some reason it's not working, and these issues are what's getting in the way. And as we dig into these issues, it's really important that we put safety first, because we can have some unexpected reactions when we start digging into this stuff. We may have huge emotional releases, so make sure you've got support nearby in case something like that happens. A story from my own life: I was attending a matrix energetic seminar many years ago, and we were practicing a technique called the 2-point that they used to teach as part of that program. And we were paired up practicing this, and my partner was working on me, and suddenly I had a massive emotional release, and I let out 2 really loud primal screams, and the whole room went still, and I was a mess for the rest of that day. And I'm very blessed that my husband happened to be there that day doing the training with me, because without him there, I have no idea how I would have even functioned, let alone made it home safely. So make sure that you have support around you when you do start to dig into this stuff, and that you are prioritizing safety. And you might want to grab my guide with quick ways to regulate yourself, because that can give you some techniques you can use if you do find yourself getting dysregulated emotionally as a result of doing this work and trying to uncover these issues. And I'll put a link to that for you in the description. But what's most important overall is that you feel safe. So make sure you're not making yourself feel vulnerable or exposed or raw or whatever way destabilized in a place where you don't have what you need around you to help bring you back to stability and grounded. So I like to think about the issues that we're unearthing with these techniques as our CRUD. It's all the stuff that's built up in our system that gets in the way. But it's also a really simple way to remember the 4 approaches: CRUD. So the first approach is probably the most challenging because it's also the hardest for us to see in ourselves. It's basically the invisible things, and so it's going to take a little bit of extra work to find these. But I want to start with this because these can be some of the most powerful and important ones for us to see. And this is our conditioning. These are the things that we took on perhaps as children or from the experiences we've had over the course of our lives that we just react with unthinkingly. It's limiting beliefs, hidden limits, the click word type thing, to quote Maxwell Maltz from Psychocybernetics. It's the tape that plays on automatic that we're not even aware of it happening, and it affects what we do significantly. We might be trying to do all the right things, and yet this conditioning is getting in the way of us actually achieving the outcomes we're trying to achieve. The second approach is a little bit easier to see, but unfortunately it's more visible typically to others than it is to you. So if you're feeling brave, you may need to recruit someone else, a safe person or a friend, to help you see this stuff and reflect this back to you, because these are the areas in your life where you're dodging responsibility. So there are things that are happening that you're not yet fully owning your part in, things that aren't working, that you say you want to work, but yet they're not, but you're not yet ready to say, I can see how I'm contributing to that. So these areas where you're dodging this responsibility can be a clue as to issues underlying that you can look further into. The third approach is for things that are a little bit easier to spot, because this is all about your over-the-top reactions, and you know more about what I'm talking about if you've watched my video on spotting your triggers. But basically we're talking about intense, explosive, out of proportion reactions. So something relatively minor might happen, but our reaction to it is quite extreme comparatively, and this is a big red flag that there's something underneath And this is our unresolved issues or our trauma. So these unresolved issues are creating this massive reaction, and we can see these reactions and we can learn to spot them, notice them, and manage them. But it's a big clue that we can work on this stuff, and don't ignore this stuff, because it's a golden opportunity to identify the issues underneath those reactions and resolve those unresolved issues. The final and fourth one is probably the easiest of them all, and it's what I like to call our dirt. It's the behaviours that we can clearly see for ourselves, that we may have made the best of intentions to stop doing, and yet for some reason we don't. Whether that's chewing your fingernails, staying up really late playing video games, overeating, whatever it is, we are aware of it and we might want to change it, but for whatever reason it doesn't change. We just keep doing it. And so these areas of dirt in our behaviours, these unhelpful behaviours, are another clue as to issues that are in us that are getting in the way of our happiness. So these 4 techniques help us see our CRUD, those issues that are getting in the way of our success and happiness, so that we can begin to release them. And I've created a guide with my favourite techniques for releasing emotional issues that you might find helpful, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. And if you'd like more tips on how to spot your triggers, your over-the-top reactions, you might want to watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.